It was just past 10 p.m. on a rainy Thursday when the bell over the door chimed, and in walked a small, soaked boy no older than 12. The diner was nearly empty, except for a couple of tired truckers and the waitress, Sarah, who was wiping down the counter. She looked up and immediately noticed the boy. His clothes were damp and too big, as if they were hand-me-downs, and his sneakers squeaked with every cautious step. He sat quietly in a corner booth, eyes low, hands shaking as he unfolded a few crumpled dollar bills. Sarah, a single mom who had seen her share of hardship, recognized the look in his eyes, fear mixed with pride, the kind of pride that keeps a child from asking for help even when he's desperate. Without a word, she brewed some hot cocoa and placed a grilled cheese sandwich in front of him. "This one's on the house," she said gently, offering a warm smile. The boy looked up, surprised, his voice barely a whisper as he said, "Thank you, ma'am." His eyes held something beyond his years, pain, wisdom, and a strange calm, like he'd seen too much too soon. She didn't press him with questions, just gave him space to feel safe. Something about him tugged at her heart, but she simply walked away, pretending to check on the coffee pot. In truth, she just needed a moment. She had no idea her kindness that night would ripple far beyond her tiny diner. The next morning, just after sunrise, Sarah moved through the familiar routine of opening the diner. She clicked on the small television mounted above the coffee machine, letting the morning news play in the background while she prepped breakfast ingredients. She cracked eggs into a bowl, half listening to the anchors talk about a near-tragic airline incident, when something made her pause mid-stir. Her gaze shot to the screen. There, in grainy video footage, was the same boy from the night before, same hoodie, same solemn eyes. The headline scrolling beneath the footage made her drop the whisk onto the counter. 12-year-old boy helps prevent plane crash. The newscaster explained that during a mid-air electrical failure, the boy, an orphan with a known aptitude for computers, had accessed the aircraft's malfunctioning backup system through a terminal in his seat and guided the pilots to safely reboot the system. Nearly 200 passengers were on board. His quick thinking and calm under pressure had saved every single life. He was being hailed as a genius. A miracle. A national hero. Sarah leaned against the counter, stunned. The boy who had trembled over a free sandwich had, hours later, saved a plane full of strangers. The same quiet child she'd offered kindness to without a second thought was now on every screen in the country. A sense of awe and pride washed over her, along with something deeper, an unshakable feeling that her small gesture the night before had mattered more than she ever imagined. Sarah was still frozen in front of the TV, her thoughts spinning, when the bell above the diner door jingled again. She turned, half expecting another regular, but instead saw a sharply dressed man in a dark suit, carrying a leather briefcase. He walked with quiet purpose, scanning the room before locking eyes with her. "Sarah Miller?" he asked gently. She nodded, uncertain. "I'm from the office of the President of the United States." The words didn't register at first. He stepped closer and opened his briefcase, pulling out a sealed envelope. "The young man you helped last night, he asked that this be delivered to you personally." Sarah took the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a handwritten letter on lined paper, the boy's small, careful script filling the page. He thanked her for the meal, the warmth, and, most of all, for treating him like a person, not a problem. "You were the only one who saw me, not my fear," he had written. "That gave me the strength to be brave when it mattered most." Tears welled in her eyes. The man then handed her a formal envelope embossed with a presidential seal. It was an official invitation, to be honored at the White House for her quiet act of compassion. In that moment, Sarah felt the weight of everything shift. Her kindness hadn't just fed a hungry boy, it had helped steady a hero. Sarah sat in the back booth of the diner, the boy's letter open in her hands. The soft hum of the fridge and the clink of a coffee cup were the only sounds around her, but inside, everything felt louder, his words echoed through her mind. As she read the letter aloud in a shaky voice, scenes from the night before played vividly in her memory. She saw herself pouring him hot cocoa, sliding the warm mug across the counter without a word. She remembered how his fingers trembled slightly as he gripped it, how he looked up at her with guarded eyes. Then came the flash of her leaning down to whisper a silly joke, something about the world's worst grilled cheese, and the way a tiny smile had cracked across his face. That smile had felt like a small victory, though she hadn't known why at the time. She remembered sitting across from him, not asking any questions, just being there. No judgment. No pressure. Just presence. Now, knowing what he had gone on to do just hours later, what kind of pressure he must have felt on that plane, she understood something profound. Her simple kindness hadn't just been a meal or a moment of company. It had been a lifeline. A safe place before a storm. Her tears came, not from grief, but from awe. She had unknowingly steadied a young hero. And in doing so, she realized that no act of kindness is ever too small to matter. The sun shone brightly over the White House rose garden, where rows of chairs were filled with guests, officials, and reporters. Flags fluttered gently in the breeze as Sarah stood beside the boy she once served a free meal to, now wearing a crisp suit and a small medal that glinted on his chest. He looked more confident, but when their eyes met, he gave her a humble, knowing smile, the same boy, just now seen by the world. The president stepped up to the podium and spoke not just of the boy's bravery, but of those who made that courage possible. We often celebrate heroes for what they do in the spotlight, he said, his voice strong yet warm, but today, we honor someone who showed quiet heroism, through compassion, humanity, and the power of a single act of kindness. He turned to Sarah. This woman didn't just serve food. She served hope. And in doing so, helped save lives. The crowd stood, a wave of applause rising like a tide. Sarah's hand instinctively went to her chest, overwhelmed. Tears filled her eyes, but this time, they were tears of recognition, of joy. For so long, she had given pieces of herself in silence, through long shifts, small smiles, simple meals. And now, standing beneath the clear sky and surrounded by applause, she felt something she hadn't in years. Seen. Valued. Uplifted. Her kindness had echoed all the way here.